Gibraltar has been a place disputed by two countries for many years. Despite its location at the tip of the Iberian Peninsula, it has been an overseas territory of Great Britain since the early 18th century. Gibraltar has survived many sieges. It has been attacked from all sides due to its strategic location at one end of the Strait of Gibraltar. Gibraltar is also a popular tourist destination and can be visited on a day trip. This video will take you to Gibraltar. We will stroll through the active runway. We will discover mysterious tunnels. Look at 3 countries located on 2 continents. Watch a light show arranged in a cave. And come face to face with Barbary macaques. Welcome to Gibraltar. Gibraltar is one of the most populous places in Europe, covering an area of about 6.5 square kilometers. It is home to almost 30,000 people. The official language is English, although Spanish can also be heard on the streets, as well as a dialect called Lanito, which is a conglomeration of English and Spanish. Traffic here is right-handed, like in the rest of continental Europe. But red booths, mailboxes, and double-decker buses can be found at every turn, along with British flags and the popular fish and chips. Gibraltar is primarily associated with the Rock of Gibraltar, which measures 426 meters above sea level and looks as if it is rising from the Mediterranean Sea. A large part of it is occupied by an adventure reserve where Barbary macaques live in the wild. The Rock of Gibraltar can be reached using a cable car, the lower station of which is located at the end of Main Street. You can also climb the hill on foot or take a white tourist bus, which stops at the most popular spots on the rock. To visit the main attractions of the Rock of Gibraltar, you need to buy an entrance ticket, as the upper part of it is occupied by the Upper Rock Nature Reserve. You can buy a ticket only to the reserve, or a combined ticket to the reserve and railroad in one or two directions. We will show you a walking tour of the reserve, which will start with the entrance located right next to the Moorish castle. The tour will end at the Pillars of Hercules monument. The route can also be taken in the opposite direction, of course, and you can follow our instructions if you plan to take the cable car up the rock. The first attraction on the Gibraltar Rock is the Moorish castle, next to which there is a ticket office. All that remains of the former fortress is the Homage Tower, which offers beautiful views. Its current appearance dates back to 1333, when the Arabs recaptured the peninsula from Spanish hands. Since then, the tower has survived many sieges. Inside the tower, small exhibitions are organized. If you enjoy our videos, leave a thumbs up and subscribe. It will help us grow this channel. Gibraltar has a very rich military history, which can be seen at virtually every turn. open to the public are tunnels used during the Second World War. The underground passageways that were created during the Great Siege were then expanded. A system of bunkers was also created to provide shelter during an attack. Tunnels of the Second World War are called underground cities. They are large enough to accommodate a garrison of 16,000, along with enough food to last 16 months. The entire network of tunnels drilled into the Gibraltar rock is about 55 kilometers long. During the tour of these tunnels, you can walk through the underground corridors and observe prepared scenes showing the daily life of the soldiers. It is also worth climbing to the Jock Balcony, which offers a view of the airport, the cemetery, and the Spanish coast. The City Under Siege exhibition includes several scenes that depict the daily life of soldiers during the 18th century siege. Buildings located here were among the first buildings on the rock built before British settlers. They date to the early 18th century and were probably used as warehouses for storing ammunition. Deck next to the Princess Caroline Battery. Actually, the battery took part in action during the Great Siege of Gibraltar. In this area, you can see the first monkeys, known as Barbary macaques, which are the most famous residents of the Rock of Gibraltar, of which there are about 300 here. How the monkeys ended up in Gibraltar is uncertain. What is known for certain is that they came from North Africa, and according to legend, as long as they inhabit the rock, Gibraltar will remain British. Even Winston Churchill himself took this to heart. But you have to be careful as they like to steal. However, if you do not disturb them, they take care of themselves, playing, eating, or resting. It is worth knowing that monkeys cannot be fed. There are severe penalties for doing so. We should also remember that they are wild animals, and we should treat them as such. As many as tens of kilometers of tunnels have been carved in the Gibraltar rock. They were created during the Great Siege, which took place in the 18th century. At that time, the Spaniards wanted to recapture Gibraltar from the hands of the British and attacked alternately from land and sea. This attempt failed because the tunnels were an ideal place for defense. The Siege of Peninsula lasted exactly 3 years, 7 months and 12 days. There was no way to build a road on the steep rock to get military equipment there, so tunnels were excavated to allow transport out of the line of fire. Interestingly, they were created using only gunpowder and the simplest tools. These tunnels, expanded after the siege and during the Second World War, provided the British Army with a great vantage point. Today you can see information boards and scenes showing the daily life of soldiers. After all, just moving through the tunnels is impressive and an attraction on its own. Another attraction on the Gibraltar Rock is the Skywalk, which is a glass observation deck that is located 340 meters above sea level. It offers incredible views of 3 countries located on 2 continents. The site was once used for military purposes because of its ability to observe the enemy from all directions. Of course, there are also quite a lot of monkeys in the Skywalk area. From Skywalk, you can reach the highest peak of Gibraltar. This is because there is a bastion known as OHaras Tower, which was named after Governor General Charles O'Hara. It is the largest of all towers that can be seen in the Gibraltar area. Several rooms were used to operate it, and its range is as much as 26 kilometers. Initially, there was a lookout tower at this location to allow the garrison to observe ships heading towards Gibraltar. One of the greatest attractions of the Rock of Gibraltar is the Cave of St. Michael. It is a natural cave that delights with flowstone formations and impressive audio-visual displays. During the Second World War, the cave was used as a field hospital, and today concerts are held here because of the excellent acoustics. They are held in a room called the Cathedral, which owes its name to stalactites that resemble a church pipe organ. Also on the Gibraltar Rock is the Windsor Suspension Bridge, which is 71 meters long and connects the banks of an approximately 50-meter-long gorge. This is one of Gibraltar's newer attractions, located between 2 Second World War artillery batteries. There are spectacular views from the bridge. The most monkeys can be seen around Apes' Den and the Charles Wall. These are the remains of fortifications that include several hundred stairs, climbing sharply upwards. They can be reached near the upper cable car station near Apes' Den, but it is closed between April and October. However, if you are going to Gibraltar in the off-season, you might consider buying a round-trip cable car ticket to get down to the center from here. In ancient times, The Rock of Gibraltar was considered one of the pillars of Hercules, which were mythical points marking the boundaries of the then known world. The other was located on a hill on the African side. The Pillars of Hercules represent Gibraltar's links to Greek mythology, specifically to the 12 labors of Hercules. According to legend, Hercules passed through here to take Geryan's cattle and opened the strait, creating the pillars that received his name. A symbolic representation of the ancient Pillars of Hercules is a monument that shows a map of the world placed between two columns. Near the Pillars of Hercules begin from Mediterranean stairs, which can be used to reach the area of OHaras Tower. Europa Point is the southernmost part of Gibraltar and one of the southernmost points of the European continent. From here you can see the Strait of Gibraltar and Mount Moses located on the African shore. There is a monument to General Sikorsky, who died in a plane crash in the waters surrounding Gibraltar on the 4th of July, 1943. Nearby, you can also see a large mosque that was erected for the growing Moroccan community. Alameda Gardens are one of Gibraltar's lesser-known attractions. They were established in the early 19th century as a resting place for soldiers. Main Street is Gibraltar's main thoroughfare, lined with shops and restaurants along both sides. Many British symbols can be seen here, as well as the Gibraltar Museum and the Cathedral of St. Mary the Queen. You will not find many monuments here, as most of them were destroyed during the Great Siege. In the center of Gibraltar is located Casemate Square, surrounded by English-style pubs and stores. One of the entrances to the square is through the Round Port Gate, which used to be the only round entrance to the city. At last, we have prepared for you some practical information related to getting to Gibraltar and crossing the border. Gibraltar can be reached by bus from Malaga, which arrives in the Spanish town of La Línea de la Concepción. If you are traveling by car, it is best to park it in this particular town, as there are not many parking spaces in Gibraltar. You can cross the border on foot or by car. Crossing on foot is completely trouble-free. You only need to show your passport or ID card. After crossing the border and crossing the active runway, you can get to the center of Gibraltar on foot or by city bus. It is worth knowing that pedestrian traffic across the runway is halted for the duration of an airplane landing. Until recently, Butfame applied to car traffic. However, some time ago, a tunnel running under the airport was put into operation, which can be used to get to Gibraltar. We hope with this video you will plan a successful trip to Gibraltar. We also encourage you to subscribe to the Experience Countries channel to stay updated with our upcoming videos.